Hello, I'm Laura the Library Lady, and welcome to my newest episode. I am super duper excited today because it's Friday, and this concludes our first week together as we are ending the first week of schools being shut down here in Maryland and across our country. I hope you've enjoyed my episodes. Today, we're studying and reading a book that's truly a heart wrencher for me. It's called Lulu and Rocky in Detroit. And it's written by Barbara Joose and illustrated by Renee Graef. Do you remember what it means to be written by? That's the author. And the person who does the illustrator is the person who does the pictures. And what type of book is this again? We went over this earlier this week. If you said picture book, you're right. And this picture book has we talked about this too, a book jacket. So it has a jacket. Just like you and I have a jacket, this book has a jacket. And it's also a hardback. So let's get started in reading this great book. Once we open it, we have our title page. And our title page is really super. It says, Dear Rocky. Wow, who could this be from? It's a letter. And remember, we talked about writing letters. That's something you can do while school is out. And your parents can help you do that. Let's turn the page. This is the verso page that tells us all about the book. Who's the writer, where it's published, and the copyright date. But we don't have to worry about all of that right now. But look at this second page. How cool is it? It is a map of the city of Detroit, or at least downtown. Now, before GPS and satellite technology, if people didn't know how to get somewhere, they would use a map. And they would use things called longitude and latitude to figure out where they were on the map. So boys and girls, if you've never seen a map like this, ask your parents to have you look at maps. I love maps, and this is a beautiful one. And it labels all the important places in Detroit that we're going to visit. So this is a preview for the book. Let's get to business and get right in. Here we are. A purple envelope arrives. Dear Rocky, are you ready for 3 days of adventure? Join Lulu and her friend Pufferson and motor to Detroit in a classic Ford coupe. Then head to the Foundation Hotel, Aunt Lucy. And here's the envelope. And it says, Lulu's my cousin and best friend. She gets her invitation by email. So here's Rocky. He got a letter. And here's Lulu. She got the same invitation, but electronically through email. All right, what happens next? Mr. Crazy Pants, yells Lulu. Who's as fizzy as a shock-up pop bottle? We bear hug and fox box. Then we smoosh together in this super cool car. I really, really want to go fast. But Pufferson is always careful, so he drives slow. So here they are, Pufferson, Lulu, and Rocky in the car. What color is that car, boys and girls? If you said yellow, you were right. Let's turn the page and see what's next. Welcome to the Foundation Hotel, says Mr. Reggie, the concierge. Then he winks and says, you three are as cute as a bug's ear. The Foundation Hotel is full of little lights that make me feel like I'm in the middle of Christmas. It used to be a fire station, and there are big red doors where the fire engines once passed, and also fire poles and a table where you can do puzzles and games. Mr. Reggie reads a letter from Aunt Fancy. Hello. Each day, Mr. Reggie will reveal your adventure assignments. When you're explored the very last one, you'll discover Detroit. Aunt Fancy. Mr. Ramsey hands us our adventure assignment for the day. And we're off. Okay, we've got them. They're at the Foundation Hotel that used to be a what, boys and girls? That's right, a fire station. and they're getting their adventure for today. Let's see what they're going to learn. First, we walk to Campus Martis, an excellent place to make sand castles. Pefferson makes a sand igloo. Next up, Coney dogs. But which diner's best? Lucy tries Lafayette. I try American. America's top dog. Lafayette. American. Lafayette. Boy, oh boy, did they get into an argument. Then we hop on the People Mover. Wow, look. Eating Coney dogs and jumping on the People Mover. Sounds fun to me after making sandcastles. Oh, wow. We take the People Mover to the Fox Theater and walk through the golden doors to see a show. Holy Foxioli! Lulu whispers, I feel like I'm in a palace. And I've been to this theater, and it is absolutely gorgeous, as beautiful as a palace. Lulu is absolutely right. Let's see where they go next. After the show, we cross the street to sports fans' heaven, where the stadiums for 4 teams, the Red Wings, the Lions, the Pistons, and the Tigers, are close by. At Co-America Park, we hear the best sound ever. Crack! That one is long gone! Lulu and I ride along the Dequindre cut. Pufferson's legs are too short to reach the bike pedals, so he rides with me. Later, he sends a picture to Aunt Fancy. That night, Mr. Reggie asks, what did you discover? Detroit is fancy, like a palace, says Lulu, and sporty, like a stadium, I say. Detroit is that and more, says Mr. Reggie. Then he hands us our adventure assignments for tomorrow. So we've got the sports teams. We've got all the things that make Detroit special. The Fox Theater. Let's see their next adventure. Our first assignment is Eastern Market. We buy cherries. Oopsie daisy. I've been to Eastern Market, but it's been a long, long time ago. Okay. At Belle Isle, we visit the aquarium. Later, we fish from a pier. When we catch, we release, so the aquarium fish aren't sad. And I've been to that aquarium, and I've been to Belle Isle, and guess what? It was one of the favorite places my grandmother, Big Mama, used to love, along with Babalo Park. Let's see where else, and Edgewater Park. So let's see what's next. At the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History, we learn about heroes from Africa to Detroit. We are inspired. Boys and girls, I've been to this museum, and I remember when I was a girl when they built it. And you'll find out all kinds of things about Ida B. Wells, who I love, Harriet Tubman, who was born here in Maryland, Martin Luther King, who was born in, I believe, Georgia, and Frederick Douglass, who was also born here in Maryland, Sojourner Truth, and Detroit's own Aretha Franklin, who passed away lately, not too long ago, the godmother of soul. So we have this next picture. Speaking of music, Hitsville, USA is home of the Motown sound, where everybody sings together in harmony, making their voices sound like one. When we sing to Aunt Fancy, we pretend we're the 3 Tops. That's wonderful. That's where Berry Gordy started Motown, and there were the 4 Tops, Diana Ross, and many, many more great singing sensations. The next day, we explore the Ford Platte Avenue plant, where Henry Ford designed and built the first Model T. In the beginning, his inventions weren't perfect, but they kept getting better. We cranked the engine with the firewheel magneto and check out Henry Ford's secret experimental room. Now I want to be an inventor too. Our next adventure assignment is the Detroit Institute of Arts. We walk through the gate. Wow, boys and girls, Henry Ford was a huge influence on our nation and the city of Detroit. My Uncle Stephen went to Henry Ford High School. I and other people were born at Henry Ford Hospital. So one person can have a huge impact on our world. And many people I know and knew worked at Ford's and other car plants in the city of Detroit. Now, we're going to go to the Detroit Institute of Art, one of the most beautiful museums ever. And I love it there. Let's take a look. Awesome, Lula says. This makes me feel small on the outside and big on the inside. What many of you may or may not know, some of the greatest artists from Mexico, that's right, came to Detroit right before I think World War II, and they stayed there and did murals. And you can learn more about that. And that same couple came to Greenbelt, Maryland, and did wonderful art as well. Who do you think I'm talking about? Maybe I'll do a special episode just about them. So think about, who do you think came? Her name started with an F, ended with an A, and her husband Diego was also a wonderful artist and sculptor. But this is a beautiful place if you've never been there. The riverfront is Detroit's hello place, where everybody greets everybody. When we ride the carousel, we say hello to Canada on the other side of the river. Hello, Canada! Hello, Detroit! Boys and girls, I've been to Canada many times. Way before 9/11. You used to be able to go over and all they would say, are you a U.S. citizen? Yes. Do you have anything to declare? No. You could go right through. No trouble at all. It's very different today. On our last morning, we video chat with Aunt Fancy. Aunt Fancy, you said when we complete our adventure assignments, we'll discover Detroit. But I'm not sure what that means. That's because you haven't seen the Fist, a sculpture honoring Joe Louis, the great boxer who never gave up, says Aunt Fancy. The Fist tells the story of Detroit. We thank Aunt Fancy for our Detroit adventure. Then we start walking. Wow, they've been on a big adventure and they haven't even seen everything. Let's turn the page so we can learn more. And there it is, the Fist, big and strong. Then it hits me, pow! Detroit is everybody's voice, sounding like one. It's music and murals and motors, and more, boys and girls, and never giving up. Now it's time to go home. We say goodbye to Mr. Reggie. Lulu says, don't forget us, Mr. Reggie. And he says, how could I forget you? He winks. You're the cat's pajamas, which means he likes us. So this is so crucial. I may even need to do a special series just on how great Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber, was. Not only to Detroit, but the entire nation, and especially to African Americans. So the very last page of the book. Then we wave goodbye to Joe Louis. We wave to Mr. Reggie, Hitsfield, Coney Dogs, Roly-Poly Cherries, and the Tigers. We wave goodbye to Detroit, and Detroit waves back. And this was the Renaissance Motel, at least when I was there. Maybe something else now. And this is a great, at the end of the book, it tells you other places, gives you more definitions and other things to do in Detroit. And this is a book series. At the end, it tells you other books. So they say, come and visit and join us on our adventures. And we have one in Milwaukee, which is not far from Detroit, and they're having one in Nashville. They're writing that now. And so Nashville had a series of bad storms lately, but it's still a great city. So look out for more Lulu and Rocky. And don't forget our authors, Barbara Joose, and our illustrator, Renee Graef. So this is a great book. And I also wanted to tell you, we've been looking at newspapers. And part of the newspaper is Life and Travel. And this is an article. It says, Ireland's Wild Side. So if you're interested in going to Ireland, even though we can't go right now because of the travel ban, this gives you information. I've been to Ireland. If you can't get to Ireland, go to Baltimore. They're pretty much the same. but Ireland is a beautiful country. So you can look in the paper. This is the life and travel section. And it has other stuff about gardens and libraries. This talks about, I'm excited about this. Visiting the stacks at Europe's finest libraries. So I'm excited about that because I'm a librarian and I love libraries. One of the things that's important, since we can't travel right now because of the virus, you can travel anywhere in a book. You can go anywhere and do anything. One of the things I think you and your parents can do is you can ask your parents how it was life when they were growing up. I love hearing stories about my parents and them growing up in Detroit. And I love telling stories about my childhood. So boys and girls, ask your parents to tell you what life was like when they were young. Or ask your grandparents. Or ask both. You'll be surprised how things were so different than they are today. And you may learn a lot and become closer. You may even want to write, you guessed it, a story about it. So this is the end of my episode for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time.